Chico, the baby Capuchin. For this youngster, growing up wild is one giant adventure. To survive Brazil's arid forests, he is learning the laws of the land, like what to eat and when to flee. Chico's clever family have entered the Stone Age. Mastering the tools of his trade will be his biggest test. Across the world, baby animals are taking their first steps and tackling their first challenges. They are the next hope for their kind. They are the new kids in the wild. It's the start of the dry season in Serra de Capivara, Brazil. Located in the northeast of the country, this arid forest stretches over 1,200 square kilometers. Thousands of years ago, some of our earliest ancestors left their mark on these ancient rocks. It's amongst the oldest artwork in the world. Today, it's home to a very different group of primates. Tufted capuchins. They're some of the smartest animals on Earth. These monkeys have mastered tools the same way our ancestors did millions of years ago. They use sticks and stones to access food other animals can't reach. This troop is made up of 16 adults and a few juveniles. And one brand new addition. He's just 3 weeks old. Meet little Chico. For just over a year, he'll rely on his mum's milk. He doesn't eat much solid food yet, but he's curious and nibbles on whatever he can find amongst the leaves. When he's weaned, he'll eat nuts, insects, and even reptiles. For now, it's the odd seed. Most baby capuchins stick to their mothers like glue. But Chico is bold. The adventurous monkey has entered the forest. He's looking for his older cousins. And when he does eventually find them, they're in full swing. It's more than just fun and games. It's also important strength and agility training. Chico is captivated. But he's too small to play. He needs to grow bigger and stronger before he can join in. That won't be easy for him. Chico's been born at a tough time of year. It's the start of the dry season, which in this part of the world means 8 months of virtually no rain. Food is hard to find for many of the animals that call this place home. They've all adapted ways of coping. Chico's family is no exception. They're true masters of survival. A tight-knit family with strong leadership is key. This is Carlito. He's Chico's father. The biggest and strongest of the troop. He's the alpha male. Carlito's the family's primary protector and leads the search for food. The females prefer to mate with him. He's an impressive male. But at 20 years old, he's ruled for a long time. And is increasingly vulnerable to a challenge from a younger, growing male. In this troop, that's Jacinto, an envious rival. He's had fights with Carlito before, and even lost some of his ear in one of their scraps. At 10 years old, he's almost as strong as the troop's leader. It's just a matter of time before he tries to take the top spot. Carlito keeps a watchful eye on the potential usurper. If he gets too close, the alpha won't hesitate to fight. But it's not just rivals he needs to watch out for. Serra de Capivara is home to some dangerous creatures. The Capuchin's biggest threat here is the Jaguar. This lone hunter is eyeing the troop from afar. Adventurous Chico is exploring on his own. Unaware that the Jaguar has him in his sights. As the youngest, he's an easy target. But ever-alert Carlito spots the danger and calls the alarm. Chico's confused by the ruckus. but Mum rushes in to sweep him up. And the Jaguar moves on. Little Chico has learnt a valuable lesson. When a grown-up sounds the alarm, they mean business. Capuchins have unique alarm calls for different threats. Chico's just learned the alarm call for danger on the ground. But distinguishing between these calls when it counts, that's a critical survival skill that he'll need to perfect. Only half of all baby capuchins make it to adulthood. Today's lesson just improved Chico's odds. One month later, and the land is drying out. Curious Chico is now 8 weeks old. He's getting used to the daily routines of his extended family. And for the last month, he's been mixing more with the group. They spend a large part of the day grooming each other. Picking out lice, ticks, and twigs. But it's not just for cleanliness. It strengthens bonds within the troop and maintains family harmony. As the youngest, Chico is watching, learning, and waiting for his turn. But grooming is hungry work. During the dry months, cashew nuts are one of the troop's main sources of food. And Carlito knows just the spot to find them. The troop follows closely behind. There's just one problem. The nuts are encased in a hard shell. The capuchins aren't strong enough to prise them open. But Carlito knows exactly what to do. Chico watches as his dad looks for the right size stone. With a couple of well-positioned hits, the protein-rich nut is released. This technique helps the troop through the hardest times. As Carlito works, he has a captive younger audience. The alpha patiently shares with his youngest son. Giving Chico his first taste of the delicious nuts. The adventurous little Capuchin decides to have a go. But he's going to have to wait a few months before he's capable of even lifting the stone. Until he masters the skill, there's always Dad. Chico and his family can't survive on cashew nuts alone. Carlito leads the troop in search of other nuts and plants. As they forage, they're blissfully unaware of the danger that lurks nearby. A yellow scorpion's sting could be lethal. Carlito spots the potential killer and swiftly adds it to today's menu. Just like us, Capuchins are omnivores. Alongside plants, they eat insects, rodents, and even small birds. This time, little Chico sets off to find his own meal. Finding a tasty snack in the dry season isn't easy. He needs strong climbing skills to search in the highest branches. Using his hands, feet, and even his tail, he navigates the treetops. Adventurous Chico gets into the swing of things faster than most. With each successful jump, his confidence grows. But there are still things he has to learn about his home. In this extremely dry climate, hot air can rise quickly. With cooler air rushing in to fill the void, resulting in powerful winds that seem to appear out of nowhere. Little Chico's in trouble and scared. He cries out for his mum. But he's unknowingly strayed too far from the troop. His mother searches alone. She finally hears his call. Used to the winds, she heads for Chico. The winds disappear as quickly as they came. Safely on the ground, Chico's mum hurries to catch up with the troop. She can hear them in the distance, and she follows. Always on the move, they can travel up to 3 kilometers in a day. They're not in the trees. The troop has headed to an ancient network of caves. It's a favourite hunting ground because it's a great place to find lizards. They're one of the monkey's favourite fast foods. That's if they can catch them. There are slower options in the cave. Granular toads. They're easier to catch. But they're not very appetizing. The caves aren't just a dining hall. They're also a fun playground for Chico's older cousins. Chico is still too small to play on the steep walls. Once again, he has to sit on the sidelines and watch. But before long, he'll be just as nimble. As darkness falls and the troop tires, they settle down to spend the night in the caves. It's now halfway through the dry season. It'll be around 4 months until the rains arrive. food and water are getting harder to find. Some haven't made it. But with Carlito as leader, the Capuchin troop isn't just surviving, they're thriving. The family is actually growing. At 6 months old, Chico is no longer the youngest. His 2 baby cousins are just a few days old. With new mouths to feed, the troop needs to keep finding food. Chico gives them a quick glance, then heads to Mum. He still has her milk for now, but in less than a year, he must feed himself. So now's the time to learn. Adventurous Chico once again heads off on his own in search of food. He's much more adept at climbing. And navigates the canopy with finesse. He knows where to find food for himself now. And where to get a drink. But he'd better get back to his family if he doesn't want to miss out on a special treat. Carlito has brought the troop to a collection of bee nests, each of them chock full of honey. These are stingless bees, so the monkeys won't be harmed. But to reach their delicious produce requires ingenuity. For the more difficult nests, a stick is the tool of choice. Carlito is a pro. The calorie-rich treat is a great energy boost. Chico observes Carlito closely. If he wants to enjoy the region's sweetest treat, He'll need to use his head as well as his hands to master this clever technique. Chico doesn't get a taste today. Carlito isn't in the sharing mood and takes all the honey for himself. The troop isn't alone in its hunt for food. Every animal in the forest is trying to get enough during the dry season. But few are as clever as the monkeys, who are always there to clean up what others miss. Unfortunate animals that don't find enough to eat may end up on someone else's menu. Dark wings glide over the valley. This large bird is on the hunt for meat. It cruises on hot air thermals, barely flapping its wings. It has excellent eyesight and can sniff out food from over 1.5 kilometers away. One of the troop spots the raptor in flight. And a new alarm call rings out. It means a threat from the sky. This time, Chico instinctively joins the others as they dash for cover. It's only a vulture. They're scavengers and don't eat live prey. The troop is safe. Better to have the occasional false alarm than let their guard down too early. And it's taught Chico another valuable warning call. As the sun rises over their valley, a strange sound echoes through the forest. But it's not a Capuchin call. Chico's troop shares its territory with another monkey species. They're known for their distinctive call. It can be heard almost 5 kilometers in the distance. But today, it's coming from just a few hundred meters away. And it's getting closer. Howler monkeys usually move in groups, but this male is all alone. Troublesome leaders can be banished from their family. Just like Capuchins. howler monkeys are larger than capuchins, and the two species clash over food and territory. Chico's dad Carlito makes a show of strength, but the big intruder just ignores him. Carlito has to decide: fight or flight. He decides to play it safe and leads the troop in a tactical retreat, up the steep cliffs where they can move faster than their heavier rival. The lonesome intruder continues on his way, preoccupied with his search for food. The capuchins continue their ascent. They're just as comfortable on the steep cliffs as in the treetops. Which is important here in Brazil's Serra de Capivara. Cliff faces like this dominate the landscape. These ancient rock formations were forged millions of years ago. The great rivers and glaciers that carved them have long since dried up. The rocky maze that remains has become the capuchin's safe haven. And just as important, it's home to 17 species of lizard. All of them delicious. Inspired by the older monkeys, Chico decides to try and catch a meal of his own. He's getting better at maneuvering along the cliffs, and quickly finds a potential snack. A tailless whip scorpion. It looks intimidating, but it doesn't have a venomous sting. Chico's grown confident in his climbing skills. But he's less sure when it comes to strange-looking bugs. He makes his second tactical retreat of the day. The dusty seeds on the forest floor may be dull, but at least they're not scary. The dry season lingers on. Today, Chico searches for his lunch under the scorching midday sun. But he's oblivious to a colourful warning in the rocks. Chico's older cousins move in for a closer look. It's hard to tell. Is this snake a serious danger or a potential meal? Get it wrong, and the curious Capuchins could receive a deadly dose of venom. The cousins get closer. But Carlito sounds the familiar alarm for danger on the ground. The reptile has similar markings to the venomous Brazilian coral snake. But there's no risk. It's a harmless false coral snake. It evolved that color pattern for a reason. The Capuchins aren't taking any chances. So the snake makes it past unscathed. Today, the troop's biggest upset could come from closer to home. The close encounter with the snake has got the troop riled up. Amidst the chaos, someone sees an opportunity. Jacinto, the would-be usurper, approaches Carlito. Rearing up is seriously aggressive body language. It's a challenge. But Carlito won't back down without a fight. Jacinto bares his fangs to intimidate. Chico can only watch on. Carlito knows he has everything to lose and charges. Jacinto's bravado evaporates. If the alpha gets his hands on the rival, it'll be a bloody encounter. Jacinto escapes. But Carlito has put him back in his place, in front of the whole troop. It's a good lesson for Chico. Knowing when to mount a challenge will be key if he ever wants to be leader. It doesn't take long for everyone to get over the drama. Shifting group dynamics is all part of being a Capuchin. With peace returned, the troop settles down for the night. The dry season pushes on. The troop's already up and scouring the forest for their breakfast, including little Chico. But food is becoming increasingly hard to find. some of the older Capuchins find the last few cashew nuts. Chico watches on. The little monkey has spent months trying to crack these nuts. He sets up to practice, looking for the perfect tool. The eyes of the troop are on him. He does it. Chico's learned the skill that sets his family apart and will enable him to thrive in this challenging environment. With this final barrier crossed, there's nothing standing in Chico's way on the road to adulthood. He's now a fully fledged member of one of the world's most sophisticated animal troops. In the last 8 months, Chico has been on a wild journey. He's had to learn fast. From a tiny baby clinging to his mother's back to a mountain climbing, tool using forager. Chico has already beaten the odds, making it to 8 months old. But now he faces the next chapter. In a year, his mother will have another baby, and Chico will have to become completely independent. His generation is the next hope for the future of his species. And with Chico among them, that future looks bright.